Warren Select Board meeting April 14th. Thank you all for being here. I am Devin, Joel, and Harvey, for those of you who don't know us. Rebecca, of course. John's running the camera for MRW TV. Okay, sorry, let me pull out my agenda. I was distracted with Wi-Fi issues.
You might not have one because I didn't remember I'm not printing one, but here.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Public comment this evening. Perry?
Lincoln Gap, the I don't know what you call it, the speed measuring thing.
May,
Are we
those
on
strips?
tap for that?
Yep.
For May?
May 15th. Yep, that week, that first week that it's open.
Right, and no police.
Correct. Talked to the sheriff a couple of times. Yeah, and then eventually the cart that's in Waitsfield will be put up on Lincoln Gap as well.
Oh, the one with the lights that
Yeah,
make you think
and it
it's
has a camera and in it, and it takes pictures. And
Oh, it takes pictures.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh. Alright.
Yep.
That was it.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have another public comment?
Yes. Oh,
1 second, Alice, and I'll get to you. Thank you for telling me.
all right.
Please.
I'm just looking for some information on connecting to the town septic system.
Oh,
I got a big packet from Rebecca
yeah.
showing me all my right-of-ways and all the dimensions and everything, but I need a nuts and bolts so I don't just close Main Street and dig until I strike effluent. I need to know who the town uses, who has experience connecting after the system came online, so that I might do something intelligent rather than unintelligent.
Can you come and see me tomorrow?
Probably.
Okay, or give me a call, and I can give you Nate Frederick's information. He's with Simon Operations, and that's who he would be your next phone call to talk to
Okay.
about getting all set up and stuff.
And when are you in the office?
I'll be here 8:30 to 4 tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll come find you.
Okay, sounds good. I'm upstairs.
Will you
Yep.
just
So-
tell us your name, please, for the record?
Yeah, it's Jack Mosley.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Are you're gonna connect your existing house?
No, I bought a property about 6 houses down from
Yeah.
this building.
Great.
At 599 Main Street. We
Okay.
put a 2-car garage on the property.
Yep.
It was, I don't know how you say it, it was permitted for a family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and we won't be using nearly that septic capacity. But I have the challenge of getting from a blue pipe at my garage to the town system,
Yeah.
and I have little or nothing to go on other than I know the person I bought the property from, Paul Callahan, has been paying fees quarterly on the property for 11 or 12 years.
Uh-huh.
So I know that.
So
all
you're connecting
permitting is
a
in
new
place.
system above
Yes.
the garage?
Yes,
The existing house is already connected?
my house is connected, but my house is at 580 and the garage is at 599.
Oh, it's just the garage.
Yes,
Understood. Okay, well, I think
Across the road and
Nate,
up the hill.
I think
Yeah.
Nate can
Yeah.
help with that
Totally.
and
Yeah.
certainly
Perfect.
provide plans.
Yeah.
and-
Actually, I think I have your email, so I can just email you all of Nate's information.
that would work too.
Okay. All right.
Either way, I need to try and get
Yep.
contractors in place and get it done before the snow flies.
Yeah. Yep.
Which happens fast.
Yes.
Started
I just started, but it just stopped. I mean, yeah. I'll email you, Jack.
Okay,
All right.
super.
Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alice, please.
Okay, here I am.
Hi.
Hi. I'll keep this short, but I'm concerned, not concerned, that's the wrong word entirely. But I know that during town meeting, we were talking about, or you were talking about the band that will be playing on the green. And you hadn't decided what the band was. And I've been trying to find out when this was gonna come up in the select board, and it hasn't, so I just figured I will speak up on what I'm thinking, only here, and you do hear the major band up at my house. I mean, that's how loud it gets, but that's irrelevant to what I'm thinking right now. I just think I would like to recommend, I don't know how far you project, but it would be wonderful to have the hardwood band come in and play some traditional music. And then I thought, maybe with the time capsule being sort of displayed during this time, it would be fun to play 1976 music and sort of celebrate with that too. I'm just throwing it out there to see what you've come up with, or what, have you decided on a band, and what is
Yeah,
it?
so, thank you, Alice. I would say, you know, we personally, the board, don't run the events for the 4th of July. That is what you're talking about, right? The 4th?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Olds is responsible for all of that organization, and I'm sure he would love to hear your ideas and discuss with you any thoughts that you have. We have decided to have a band in the municipal parking lot, sort of with its back to the church, playing toward the parking lot and the green. It's what works best sort of for vendors and parking, and still allowing for disabled parking up here. And that will be Jewel House, the band that usually plays on the Warren Store porch. And
so
they will be having the Grift.
Oh, down there. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And that's
So-
sort of the extent of our involvement. We're, you know, just chatting with Ben, making sure that his plans for locating things look good, and otherwise he's really in charge of that.
All right. I just thought it would be fun to have the harp.
Yeah, so I think talking with either Ben or Jim Crafts, who's also online, maybe, who's the chair of the Historical Society and running the time capsule project,
Right.
might be the people to connect with.
3 bands, I think that would be a bit much.
No, but I think there's more happening around the time capsule than just the 4th of July. You know, they're planning a date to dig it up, and then it will we're gonna bury something again. So your idea about music and the Harwood band might not be amiss.
Yeah, I just would like to hear more traditional stuff during the 4th, rather than, this town is so big on political, so that was my thing.
Well, thank you for bringing your ideas, Alice.
Yeah.
All right, agenda changes. I don't have any.
Either do I. Either do I.
Good. Rebecca.
I think that we had some thoughts on, if time allowed, adding a number of things to other business. So we wanted to talk about the safety action plan representative,
Oh yeah.
schedule the cleanup day. I wanted to talk to you guys on behalf of Andrew about a paving project, a small one. Possibly talking about the historical stuff in the basement as well.
Great.
Okay.
So glad I used you as my notepad. Thank you very much for remembering that. I even wrote it on my hand. Oh, it washed it. Okay, so we have Julie here and Ira online and Michelle, is that right? From the Friends of the Mad River, to sort of give us their roadshow.
Do you want me up here?
You
at
can
the table?
be wherever you like.
Sure.
So you've got to go to, yep.
Share. And this one. Here.
And if you go to slideshow.
Play.
And then from beginning.
Can I play the slideshow?
Yeah, up at the top. See from beginning.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm gonna minimize this. We know y'all are here though. Speak up if you need to speak up. We can't see you currently.
I think Ira is gonna get us started, so
Oh,
hopefully.
Ira, do you want me to bring your face back?
Yeah, it's all right. You guys, can see my face another time, I suppose. Yeah, thank you all for the time at the meeting tonight. I'm Ira Shaddis. I'm the director of Friends of the Mad River. I've been in this role for a couple of years now. And we just pulled together this roadshow. We've been visiting the towns really as a way to reintroduce ourselves as an organization and to sort of build on a fairly deep history of partnership between this organization and the towns. And so in the spirit of that collaboration and advancing sort of meaningful work across the watershed, we hired Julie last June as our project coordinator. And so she's really going to be the one running the rest of this presentation, and in many ways will be a big point of contact for all the towns moving forward. You guys, I think, already know that quite well at this point. So I'll hand it to Julie now.
Great.
Thanks, Ira.
Thanks, Ira. And I do want to, just in case I forget, point out Michelle Krieg is here, and you'll learn a little bit more about her role, but she's one of our newest friends. People will be talking about our expanded capacity and all the new faces that we have and why we're reintroducing ourselves.
Awesome.
So a disclaimer, I am going to use my notes because otherwise I will go completely rogue and I will take up way too much of your time. If I am running long, hopefully it's under 15 minutes and then a little bit of time for discussion. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And as Ira said, we've already been collaborating with Warren on a couple of fronts in the last 6 months. So, and I'll mention those as we go throughout the slide deck. I kind of wove them into our regular roadshow deck. So this is really more of a broader discussion to loop back and solidify our partnership and connect with all of you. Just make sure that we have a really great foundation to continue to work from. So I'm going to start with this as a lead off. Our communities are where they are because of this river. And this year we're recognizing the 15th year anniversary of Tropical Storm Irene. Since then, we've had more unprecedented floods, we've had development pressures and climate change and habitat loss. So we're asking the question, how do we as communities live well with the river? And that means, what do we need from the river, but also what does the river need from us? We really need to think about striking that harmony. I'm going to take you through a brief slide deck, and as we've said, this is a journey to introduce ourselves, share, remind you or let you know about some of the things that we've done, what we're up to now, and in the end, I really want to make sure that we end with a clear ask that we continue to collaborate moving forward. And specifically, as Ira said, in my role as project coordinator, to work with the towns on priority projects, understand our respective priorities, since we now have our expanded capacity. Next slide. Very brief agenda, core values, core focus, capacity, community engagement, and collaboration. And we're here today because we want to partner with the town boards and commissions to engage more directly in our work, project planning, prioritization, and really also to think about attending events together and how we can learn from other communities together. So our core values, we just hit our 35th year as an organization. A lot of people don't realize that, but we've been around quite a long time. And we're doubling down on our core values, which are to learn, conserve, and celebrate at the watershed scale. We approach our mission through such a diversity of ways, and hopefully you'll get a sense of that tonight. And I'll share with you all the different ways that we work with the community and with the towns. We know that these are shared values with the towns and with the boards and with you all. And we're just really hoping that you'll come with us as we ramp up more. All right, next one. And Devin, you're going to have some clicking to do. So,
Like now?
yeah, there'll be a few clicks. I'm going to share with you a few ways that we've been engaging with the community. Hopefully they look familiar. So after Tropical Storm Irene, our previous executive director, Corey Miller, pulled together a bunch of folks with key groups. And this was Ridge to River, which was a 2-year planning process in around 2015, 2016. And it is still a living action framework to help guide landowners and stewardship. And then if you want to click through, we also work with the towns on projects such as culvert replacement for aquatic habitat, also flood resilience and stormwater mitigations like road gullies and rain gardens. And of course we do lots of tree plantings up and down our streams, and you'll hear more about how we're going to be expanding on that too. And we have a cohort of 25 volunteers who monitor more than 20 sites along the MAD, gathering critical scientific data. This is one of the oldest water quality monitoring, volunteer-driven water quality monitoring programs in the country. So we're really proud of that. And it's especially important because of warming waters and at the same time development pressures. So we really want to understand how those two things are impacting our important watershed. So I just want to touch on this really quickly. Our board and our staff worked with a consultant in 2024, and early last year we rolled out our strategic framework. And this is really building a roadmap for the organization. We were asking, thoughtful, big questions over a period of time. We were asking, what should we be doing? And when we came up with those answers, it was, okay, well, what does staffing and partnership look like to make those things happen? So we've been growing our board. We grew our board. I'm in this new role. Michelle's in her new role, and talking to you about further collaborations. So those are the exact examples of putting the strategic framework into place. So our plan is actually working and it's coming to fruition. The framework oriented us to how the actions to take to have a community that is both ecologically and environmentally resilient in a changing climate while it continues to thrive and grow economically and balance all of those things. All right, switching to our core focus. So we'll highlight these programs and projects. We'll go a little bit more into some aspects here. So on the program areas on the left side, pretty much everything we do falls into one of those 5 buckets. And I think, they're pretty intuitive. I'll just point out that landowner engagement is the area that we call working with private landowners. And we do consultations free to the landowners. And we go out and this year we'll be starting to leverage some funding that we have to actually help landowners implement some of the recommendations that we make. And then watershed restoration is our bucket of larger projects, and those are the kind of projects that would fall into talking with the town of Warren about. So on the right, talking about our current large projects, we have these 4: aquatic organism passage, a big one that is project development, and that is really getting our hands around previous scoping efforts that have been done. And all of that will go into a geospatial database for project tracking and prioritization, which is really exciting. I think we may be kind of out front in developing something like this as a tool. And then the native plant nursery, which is super exciting. That is what Michelle is coordinating and launching just now. We have a small plot at Lareau, and we'll be growing that plot, and we'll be actually providing our own vegetation to replant into some of these projects. So hopefully that'll be
Just for friends use, or will you also be selling?
For now, it's just for friends, but there's potential for other partnerships in the future.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So on that, back on that last slide, specific to Warren, so that project development effort is what actually is where we found the previous identification of the Hanks Road culvert. And then we've already been able to advance, get funding to advance that to final design. And there's a very reasonable assumption that we'll be able to get to another round of funding for implementation for that one. So that's pretty exciting. Already we're seeing the fruits of our labor. Yep, next one. So, is it gonna go? Great, thanks. So capacity, yeah, as we've already said a couple of times tonight, we've been growing quite a bit. The first decade, Friends was all volunteer, and our first executive director, Corey Miller, started in 2014. And then you see Ira started in 2022. He was already with the organization for a couple of years. And then that's when we really started to grow. So Luke Foley, who that name probably rings a bell to a lot of people, started in 2023. We'll talk a little bit more about the program that he's built out. We had 2 AmeriCorps members back-to-back years, and then I started, and then our newest AmeriCorps member, and he's just really been gung-ho and doing a lot of amazing things already, and Michelle has started. So this is a significant amount of growth in a short period of time. We're really excited about it, but this is the capacity that we've been talking about, and this is by design. This is exactly what we mapped out in our strategic framework. So I'll focus a little bit on community engagement. This is really that area that Luke has built out over the last couple of years. And we've really increased our presence and impact in the community for education, connection, opportunities to volunteer. We had 24 events in 2025 alone.
Wow.
So that's 2 a month for a really small organization. So we feel like our impact and engagement with the community is very robust. We're really excited about it. We partner with libraries and rec groups and schools and landowners and businesses. And again, like I mentioned before, we really try to offer a lot of diversity. Citizen science to just having fun together in this amazing place that we get to call home. So if you want to click through, yep. So on the first panel, you see we run an expert series that is place-based learning, as well as climate and ecology book club. We're in all of the schools in the watershed. So we've been working with about 600 students this year, 19 teachers. That includes 3 professional development opportunities for teachers. So pretty impactful there. And then we also hold recreation-oriented events. The bottom panel there is Climate for Climate, and the top one is a plunge that we do on New Year's Day. So those have been really popular, and just ways to get people engaged in thinking about how they enjoy the landscape and the watershed. We just finished this last weekend the Mad River Triathlon. We're one of the 4 core organizations of that, as well as the Conservation Recreation Visioning Initiative. So just trying to, again, spread ourselves across all of this, because building a coalition is fundamental to protecting the health of the watershed. Everyone can play a role, and we really hope to educate and empower folks to take action. Just quickly, some exciting new things that are happening this year. Our AmeriCorps member, Rohan, has launched a nature writing series, and we're also getting ready to launch a foraging series. In addition to that, we're working with the Planning District on events around the 15-year anniversary of Irene. All right, so this is so we can take a little paddle together, and this is really about my work and collaborating with you all and other towns and other organizations. So I'll show you how we see navigating our work, what we've done up to this point, and how we'll move forward. And this includes various project types like roads and gullies, replacing culverts, planting riparian buffers, restoring wetlands, improving our stormwater infrastructure, like gravel wetlands and rain gardens. And I have handouts to leave with you all that describe those project types and give you examples of ones that we've done over the last decade or so, just as a reference. And I can't remember if I sent you digital of all of that, but I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recall, but
yeah,
you might have.
I'll follow.
Great.
Yep. So Devin, if you want to click through, the first one just started with our strategic framework, which I mentioned, and that led to my new position. And then on number 3, you see we've been already working on understanding our previous scoping efforts and pulling all the information out of those documents. And then that brings us to these roadshows. We want to let you know all of that is happening. But in parallel to this, we've been further identifying these projects and understanding what the funding options would be and really kind of diving into them a little bit more. So then that brings us to really getting down into the details and prioritizing with the towns, understanding what your priorities are, showing you what we have identified and why we think there are some things that should be prioritized as well. And then hopefully that all leads to implementation in a way that is efficient and transparent and really getting the most out of the funding that we can find and doing really good things for the communities and for the watershed. So specifically as my role as project coordinator, I want to be an asset to the towns. So I mentioned the geospatial database. We're really pulling all of this together to have a pipeline, identify, prioritize, and implement, and just keep that going over the coming years. So I want to touch quickly on one specific area of interest for the town of Warren specifically, and that is the Crib Dam. And we know that this has had ongoing discussions over many decades. In the scoping effort that we've been doing in understanding and identifying projects, our review of previous studies suggests that they probably outdated and maybe limited. And the outdated has to do with the fact that the Crib Dam has deteriorated more. There's further interruption of the natural stream processes. And then when we think about climate change and flood events, the studies from 2 decades ago could certainly be outdated. So we had an opportunity last fall, but due to the short lead time, we were not able to pull together a robust proposal, so we did not propose. But our intentions there were to get funding to do a new feasibility assessment. So we put that on hold. We did outreach to try to understand the remaining directors of the Crib Dam Preservation Trust, and so far our efforts to engage with them have been unsuccessful. There is a lack of a clear understanding of the responsible party or the spokesperson or the owner, and that in and of itself is what would be prohibiting us to find the funds to do these types of studies, feasibility studies. My latest understanding is that the trust did not file a biennial report that would have been come due early this year, so that in the eyes of the state they are dissolved. And Friends doesn't have the legal expertise with this complex situation. Once it is resolved, we are very keen to pursue funds for doing a new feasibility assessment, and that would include risk assessments and options analysis, so that we understand what potential actions we may or may not take. We do know, actually just confirmed with a representative from one of the funding organizations, that there will be another round in the mid to late summer.
Is your idea to rebuild the dam or to take it down?
First is really just studies, is really just feasibility studies, is understand what are the different options, what are the risks of not doing anything, of doing it this way, starting to sketch out what those costs would look like. But there could be a few different options. There could be option to do nothing. There could be option to do it in phases. So at first it's really just to get the studies done. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We are positive that A&R will not let us rebuild the dam. So that's not
that's
an
fair.
option. That's just to answer your
Yeah,
question.
cool. I didn't know.
And I think that's what the trust was hoping for
Yeah.
when they organized, and it became clear that wasn't going to be possible, and so it's sort of been in this state of limbo ever since.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Ira, did you want to add on anything to that?
Not really. I mean, I think you covered. I've talked to a few people in the dam removal business, and all the advice I've gotten is that everyone needs lawyers. For this particular situation, just because it's pretty complicated. What I'm about to say is definitely not legal advice at all. But it's like even the current status of the preservation trust it's like an administrative hold. And so in principle, they could go back and they could file to get the trust back in good standing, and it would take like a week of time. And so I think there's a more general question about if the trust were to dissolve or to hand it off, what would that need to look like from a legal standpoint, and what would the liabilities associated with that look like?
And then who would take ownership? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as Julie said, we don't have like legal counsel on staff, and it's also something that I think would be particularly hard for us to fundraise for, although I'm not putting that fully off the table. I'd certainly be open to those conversations. You know, and again, like not being a lawyer, but some of the folks I've talked to, you know, if there is no future home for this, I think there would be some concern for the town of Warren about, you know, liability there of having something where there is some potential risk of catastrophic failure and, you know, downstream sort of impact. And so, yeah, just my peers that I've talked to in this line of work have suggested it would be smart to get lawyers involved to understand the liabilities, to understand the transfer process, and to try and get that squared away while it's still standing, sort of.
Thanks, Ira.
Yeah.
Does the town own the dam? Is that,
No, the trust owns the dam, but the trust is currently
In limbo, like, we're
it's
not,
dissolved
yeah.
as of April 2nd.
Complicated situation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I have for tonight. Just in conclusion, want to say we really want to partner with you all, and we want to make sure that we know how to, you know, engage the best point of contact for project scoping and prioritization, making sure that we're sharing news and events timely, and having this kind of engagement on a regular basis. We are very well connected already. We've been doing a lot of work over this last 6 months, so I think that we already have that foundation in place. Yeah. Cool. So really, thank you for your time. Any questions that I can answer?
I want to mention the Flatiron Road scoping study that we have to 30% design.
30% design.
And make sure that that's on your list.
I don't know that I have a copy of that. I know it was identify the stormwater master plan, but that was probably back in 2000.
That may have been what triggered the study.
I think so, probably.
So we have a 30% design.
Great.
And it's sort of gone on the back burner for us. And
Okay.
I think personally, because I know Camilla and I have sat here many times being like, what do we do with this? It's really nice to know that there's a partner to sort of help us like advise what would be the thing to do.
That's exactly the kind of thing we want to know. Like, what are your priorities, and if they're mission aligned, you know, then we can step in and look at, you know, is there an opportunity, you know, do we still see the benefit of them, and is there an opportunity for us to find funding and then project manage that?
Right, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one, and then just so you guys know, they are working on the Hanks Road culvert. Have you been?
I've
You're aware of
read
that?
all that.
Okay, and then as far as the best
And then
way
we
to
have that
contact-
other list of culverts that we're also
Yes.
looking at.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and you already put me in touch with the right person for
Yep.
that. Yeah.
As far as the best point of contact for project scoping and prioritization, that's something I just want to sort of talk through at a board level. Like, Julie's been working with Rebecca and touching base with me, and then we've been looping Andrew in where we feel like that's necessary. How much involvement do you feel like the board should have with the prioritization and like the nuts and bolts of it?
I mean, it doesn't seem like that would be, we talk about at the board meeting, but I think updates are helpful.
So staying in touch via email, and then if there's something like, hey, we need to decide which project we want to do, we bring it to the board level. Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's.
Like, if we look over the list of culverts and we say, okay, these are the ones that are kind of coming to the top, we, you know, sort of do that work off to the side,
Yep.
and then just bring the updates back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like we did with the Hanks Brook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good because one, we have a lot going on.
Yep.
And two, y'all are the experts on which culverts should be replaced from a water quality and habitation perspective.
Correct.
And with input from Andrew, we know like what's the status of
Yeah.
these culverts and
Yeah, and
what's
ideally it'll
possible.
overlap with, you know, just general road maintenance and infrastructure,
Yeah.
and obviously also flood resiliency. you
Yeah.
know, when things are getting washed out. So.
Yeah, and I know that the piece about flood resiliency was something that came up in a pretty big way when the Planning Commission did their charrette last year, talking about how to create greater flood resiliency higher up in the watershed. So not
Very
once
important.
we get to the Mad River, which is one of the reasons that the Flatiron Road project sort of went on hold, because a lot of what we're hearing about that is like, the issue is Freeman Brook, but Freeman Brook is starting way up in East Warren. And so what can we do in East Warren to slow water down?
You said it perfectly. Yeah, that's a great way to approach it. Some of our culvert scoping projects are pretty high up. It allows fish to get up into the cold streams, but it also just right there at the source starts to manage the water. You know, if the culverts up there don't blow out, and if the water, is managed better there, then it's just going to potentially have less impact down in the village.
Because it won't have the break of a huge mass of water. Okay.
I would also say that we are looking at, it's pretty new territory for us in some respects, but we are looking at some like wetland restoration scoping work, and looking up there sort of on the like that East Warren plateau, that sort of bench. There's definitely some opportunity. I think it's interesting for us when we start to get into ag space, and it almost always involves us partnering or collaborating with the conservation districts.
Yeah.
So I think that if there are areas, if that is of interest to the town, is thinking about, what upland, wetland restoration or retention or stormwater management can look like. I mean, that's definitely an area that's interesting for us as well. And so if we come up with things in scoping, we'll certainly bring that back to all of you to talk about.
I just know that at that charrette, that was one of the major points that came up with 70% of the people attending.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And we walked, we had a representative from A&R come last summer-ish, I guess, because it was super hot that day. And we walked up and down Freeman Brook as much as we could, because there's also a lot of landslides that are happening, so a lot of the trees and stuff from all the different flooding that's happened has affected the waterways. And so we had concerns from people like, should we be removing the trees? And one of the things, I think her name is Rachel, Rachel said that those actually help slow down the water flow.
Was that a river management engineer, Rachel Czar?
No, her last name wasn't Czar. She's from A&R.
Okay.
That's all I know. But she was super helpful.
Do you have anything documented from that exercise that we can look at?
Yes, I can absolutely send you that. Yep, totally.
Awesome.
Yep.
Would be great.
Put a note on there.
All right, so 30% on design for flat irons. Anything, and obviously anything else that you all or the Planning Commission or the Conservation Commission, anything that is on their radar that we should know about, just put them in touch with me.
Okay, great. Nice job, thank you.
Thank
Great
you so much.
presentation.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I see Luke relatively regularly. His wife is my son's preschool teacher, but last year he made clay. The kids made pots out of clay from the river basin.
Yeah.
So cool. Just really awesome programming.
Really, really neat stuff that he comes up with. So that will happen again this year. That's part of the foraging series. So there'll be about 6 events that are different ways that you can forage. So you can forage for wild clay and use it to make things.
Yeah.
Right there.
Really
in
awesome
your backyard.
connecting. I think you guys are doing a great job.
We have tons of events. They're on our website, all over our Instagram post, Front Porch Forum, all of that stuff. So we'd love to see folks from the select boards, engage with us. I think it would mean a lot to the community members.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for your patience in getting on the agenda, Julie.
No worries. We know how busy you all are.
And Ira, thank you, Ira.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a good one.
Good night. You can stay. It's exciting. He's like, I'm good. Awesome. Great. Harwood School District MOU. Harvey, Joel, talk to us.
That's
Rebecca and
That's
I.
also on there if you want to share it.
Rebecca and I are intimately
Yeah.
familiar with the situation.
We have Camilla's notes that she had sent us about, where is her?
Harry, I don't have a paper copy of this right now, but you can tell me to scroll down if you're reading on the computer.
I can't see it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Do you want to look at it on my computer?
That's
So Camilla had mentioned paragraph 7, F. She would delete due to the wastewater infrastructure sentence. It seemed to her that since we own that land, they should be checking with us before making any significant changes to that area. And then paragraph 7H regarding our responsibility for invasives, since they have the right to plant whatever they would like going forward, it seems to me that we should only be responsible for invasives identified as existing at the time of the MOU. If they plant something invasive in the future, that should be on them. And then paragraph 11, B and C appear to be redundant.
Yeah, they're the same.
Ah,
Have we had a MOU with Harwood before?
This has
No.
been a long
This
time
is-
coming.
This is for the elementary school.
Correct.
So the town owns the 40 acres and the school district owns the school building.
correct.
Correct.
So
This
we're
came
just,
about with the merger in Act 41.
No?
Act 47. Act 40. Now I'm forgetting. Act 60.
46 was.
73.
Is it 46?
Is that with the merging?
The
of
consolidation,
schools?
yes. Thank you.
I
I mean,
thought it was 46.
6, 7, 3, what?
so this is not legally binding, it's just a MOU, this is just a memo for the
Correct.
file.
It's a memorandum of understanding to help organize how we cooperate.
Yeah,
And
seems
this was
reasonable.
the very first thing I was given as a project when I got on the select board in 2021.
Okay.
And this was the first task that I got given as the new town administrator in 2023.
Yeah, so please, God.
Do they agree with this? Have they seen this and
They've approved this.
Yeah.
they agree? So
They have.
they have the insurance.
They do.
Yep.
I mean, it seems like a good idea.
We've had our attorney review it. They've had their attorney review it. We've had the insurance companies look at it.
Great.
We've crossed all the
Seems
Ts
great.
and dotted all the Is, except we have a duplicate paragraph.
Except for what McKilla.
Well,
She's,
it's better than not having it at all.
It's true.
And the lawyers didn't think we should have something that's actually binding. It just seems like, I mean, if we're solidifying a relationship like this, why wouldn't we have something that, like this is just a memo.
Yeah, it's, well, a memorandum of understanding is sort of how we typically conduct business with other entities, right? Like we have one with the rec committee, we have one, we're hoping, or what's the other one?
Rec committee?
Rec committee, but we had, oh, we were hoping to organize one maybe with the, was it the PTO?
PTO, and we need to have one with the library.
With the library. So it's just sort of the method that we use to outline how we do things.
Because we're finding that, you know, as people leave positions,
Oh yeah, I think it's a great
the
idea.
history also leaves with them,
Yeah.
and unless we have a document of this sort,
There's just some legal language in here that is inconsistent with something that's not legally binding. That's my only.
I think our
question.
intention was to just be as clear as we possibly
yeah, I
could,
think
because
it's
we've
great.
certainly had situations
Yeah.
with the district where it's like, well, wait a second, I thought you were paying for that. Oh, well, I thought you were paying for that. And hey, are you gonna fix this building? And I'm like, no.
Is it like a handshake on paper?
Yeah, sure. Kind of. Jim has his hand up. I'd love to get to him. Jim, please.
I just was wondering, what was the thinking behind, why are we paying for the generator?
The generator is shared between
Yeah,
the
but
two.
why? I mean, don't we already give the state a bunch of money so that they do those types of things?
The state being the education fund?
Yeah,
there's a reason we share the generator. I'm gonna try and remember it.
It's with our wastewater system.
There we go. The generator powers the wastewater system when the power goes out. So we share the usage of it as well as the cost.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you about that. I was like, I know there's something that's running up there. I couldn't remember.
Well, I think writing these things down is fantastic.
Cool. So let's just make sure we touch base on Camilla's concerns. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to take out B or C.
Well, I highlighted it,
Okay.
yeah, so that we're transparent with Mike and Lisa and
Yeah, I
Ashley.
think it's they'll probably just need to initial, right? What was the other thing?
This will be signed, right? There's just-
7F.
Yeah, there's not a signature page here, but
We
it'll
need to add a
ultimately be
signature
signed, yeah.
page. So they all approved it. We'll give them our edits and then
Yeah.
we can all approve a final version.
Great,
Sounds
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
great idea.
F,
Nice work.
we could remove due to the wastewater infrastructure beneath the site. I like having it in there for the reason that Harvey just said, like, this is a memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
If we don't write down, hey guys, the wastewater system is under there,
Yeah,
we might
because a lot of
forget.
people don't know that.
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to it being there. I don't think
No.
it harms it.
Right.
And it does say that they need to get prior approval. Anyway,
And then H about the landscaping.
so a little bit of background here. There is a fair bit of knotweed on the edge of the parking lot. And Hito has been managing it. One of the techniques that he's using, because it's a really steep bank, is smothering. And the administration at the school has been very frustrated with the tarps, that they are unsightly, and has asked us numerous times to remove them. And we've worked through what we hope is working at this point, which is Hito agreed to move the tarps back so that they aren't right at the edge of the parking lot. They're like 2 to 3 feet back. They manage that strip by manually pulling the roots, and then the rest of it is controlled by smothering so that the tarps aren't quite as visible. That is why this is in here.
Gotcha. Because we need the ability to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Without spraying chemicals all over
Right.
next to the
Exactly.
elementary
the
school.
children, yeah. And there are signs up, I had suggested this is an educational opportunity, like
Yeah.
the kids can participate.
Totally.
That
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily well received.
The beauty of the tarps is it means they didn't spray chemicals, which I take it as.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we're able to, like, that we're setting the expectation, like, look, we're controlling knotweed here and we need to be able to do what we need to be able to do.
That's great.
I don't think that Camilla's point is amiss.
Right.
And I wonder if adding, if the school, I don't know,
Well, I don't know. That just doesn't seem.
it feels like
What's
borrowing
the likelihood
problems
of-
from
yeah.
tomorrow.
We can just update this. I can't imagine they're going
Right.
to intentionally plant an invasive.
Right,
If they accidentally plant one, I'm sure we could work it out. I mean, I wouldn't.
I agree.
yeah. Okay. So then it's really just deleting the duplicate paragraph
Yeah. And add the
And-
signature page.
and adding a signature page.
Yeah.
And otherwise, do you all feel good?
Yeah.
I think we could delegate to somebody, Devin, you, the authority to just sign it so it doesn't have to come back to the board,
Okay, that's fine with me.
just for expediency.
Yeah.
One thing, I met with the surveyor this morning. We walked the perimeter. 2 questions that he has. What do you want the title of the survey to be?
What does that mean?
So it could be anywhere from hardwood, whatever we've called it here, marking survey, premises survey. I think we call it Exhibit A in the MOU. But they need to know the title of the survey because it's an official document, it's a legal document, and it will be attached to the deed.
Was it not surveyed before?
No.
It was not.
Well, there is a survey of the lot. What isn't surveyed is the area deemed for school usage.
Oh,
It's
I see.
known by
Gotcha.
most of us
yeah.
because there's a giant berm that was once a dragon. And it just that was one of the things that the attorney said, like, hey, y'all need a survey, like, where is the line?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would
what you
say,
just said sounds like a pretty good
yeah,
survey for school usage.
yeah,
You know, it's,
something along those lines.
It's
or,
pretty straightforward.
I'm not particularly attached.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
Mike has an idea because
Okay.
he's so good with the legalese. I was just looking to see how we, other
Listed it.
areas shown on the map, Exhibit A.
Ron had some suggestions, so,
Yeah, for
He's
use of
gonna
the
send us a
schools,
draft.
notwithstanding the split in ownership, both parties agree that the HUUSD shall have first priority for use of the school structure and town property. So school structure and town property for HUUSD use. Maybe? School structure and town property survey for HUUSD use. Did you get that?
yeah,
I can
kind
say,
of.
I can say it again if you want.
Okay, school structure,
And town property
yep.
survey for HUUSD use.
Okay.
Jim, please. Do you still have your hand up, or do you have it up again, or would you like to speak? Hello? Okay, no.
I think he just has it up from last time. And then the other question, what kind of markers do we want the surveyors to use? To mark, because they have to mark each,
Spot.
Survey
spot.
lot.
Don't they
so
put,
that, you
I
know,
want brass ones with longitude and latitude. Just kidding.
so they can use,
What kind of use?
they can use like a garden stake, which won't last very long.
That's a bad idea.
They can use like a piece of rebar that they put down, and it's basically it's marked on the top with I think he called it their title, so like their state identification number. So if anybody has a question, they can
Point,
Good
and
point.
that has latitude
Yeah.
and longitude probably on it.
or
No?
Has the name of the
that's the name of the surveyor on
Yeah.
it, which he said will be flat. You can walk barefoot over it. No one will feel it. Mowers won't feel it.
Okay.
I think that's what we
That
want.
sounds good. What's the other option?
And the other option was like a metal post that sort of. Either way,
All of these sound like
Well-
implements for impaling.
we'll have. Either way, this will be the rebar that goes into the ground will be
Yeah.
flat. That's in every spot.
Yeah.
But there has to be something that identifies it as some type of marker or post.
Okay.
And so I told him, I said, obviously this is a playground where young children play.
Yeah.
It's a community space
We
where.
play soccer, baseball,
Yeah,
badminton.
many different, age groups and
And are we
walks of
marking
life.
corners primarily?
It's, yeah, basically,
So then they are probably mostly out of the way anyway.
yeah.
well, they find them with metal detectors, right?
Yeah,
That's why they have to put
exactly.
a stake in the ground. But it should be flush or even below the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise the kids are gonna pull the little caps off the
Right.
rebar.
Like
yeah.
right now they're
My
marked
son already stole
with a
them in his
pink,
mind.
ribbon,
Yeah.
where all the spots are
Yeah.
gonna be rough.
I think that the rebar sounds reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
What else?
that's it.
Awesome.
Nice job. Well done.
Thanks. Whew.
almost there, huh?
Marathon.
5 years.
Marathon. Okay. Town hall rental agreement.
Okay, so I took some of Camilla's recommendations and I went on to some of our neighboring towns, and you guys will see that you have more towns rental agreement.
Do we have the rental agreement to put
I
up?
don't think we do.
Okay.
But you guys all have a copy in front of you. And it's actually a really good use policy and rental agreement.
It's really good.
And they lay out, things that, hours of availability, the parking, which our old one sort of addresses, but not really, like, things that are strictly prohibited at the facility, the occupancy, cleanup, communication, rates and fees, all the stuff that, trash removal, alcohol, all the things that have sort of been,
Contact information.
Yeah,
critically.
exactly.
Yeah.
so I feel very strongly that, I know that Harvey and I sort of created this one, but I feel like this one is really good.
Well, it's really good, and I like the way they differentiate the rates for residents and non-residents.
I agree.
They have a security deposit. It becomes so much more.
I also like the storytelling. In the beginning, I mean, that's as far as I've gotten, but I'm just saying, I like the way that they're saying, hey, this space is important to us, and
Oh,
here's
I
its
see.
purpose.
Yeah. No, it's well done. I would say, let's rethink ours in this context.
I agree.
And I would bring up again, that one of the biggest open items on the one we have is, or it's not implemented, but the draft is, we don't have clear responsibility on who owns the ongoing
Management
management of it.
of renting it.
Yeah, and following up on it,
Yeah.
and making sure it's cleaned, and scheduling,
Yeah.
and honestly fostering its greater use. It's not fully utilized, and right now, it's not cleaned up. There's a bunch of stuff in there that shouldn't be in there.
This is very thorough.
Yeah. It's a really good policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have
obviously put some time and effort into this.
They have a town hall manager who's the librarian, I guess. But we would,
Oh, look, they did exactly what I was saying in my email. 4 hours or full day.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that.
But I like the security deposit. They're clear enough to say that you need to write 2 checks, one
Yeah.
for each. Yeah, I mean, it's just very clear.
Yeah. Security deposit.
Well
with
done,
alcohol.
Moortown. Showing us up.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Morgan. No, I feel like this is what we're looking for.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, that's good research.
I just want to note the town hall custodian is blank.
Yeah.
They don't have one either. Fair
Are you
enough.
allowing alcohol in there?
We only allow alcohol when someone has a catering permit.
Yeah.
An off-premises permit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, and all of the insurance that
Yeah.
comes with that.
And so then the other idea would be, just like we have a rec committee to coordinate activities at Brooks Field, would we consider having a committee of volunteers in town to coordinate, manage, schedule, foster, promote activities, probably both at the pavilion and the town hall? I think it could be helpful in.
Well, and I think we've had conversations about the pavilion. I have people ask me on a regular basis
Yeah.
about reserving it, and we've sort of said that because it's a community space, it's first come first serve, and you're
Oh.
welcome to have an event there,
Yeah.
but know that there could be 10 other people on the green
Right.
while you're trying to have your birthday party, barbecue, whatever you're trying to have.
Right.
But what I would like to add to this about the pavilion / green space is, like I had somebody request a barbecue on the space. Are we okay with somebody bringing in barbecue grills and
Right.
grilling on the town green and,
Or we could lay out what you just articulated, lay that out in here too.
Yeah.
If you included the pavilion, then you could have this is the policy for both, and here's the rules.
right,
It's an open pavilion, but this is what you can do, this is what you can bring, this is what you can't.
right,
Acceptable activities.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is who you can contact about seeing if there's a town event scheduled that day.
right.
I really like that the pavilion is open for public use
Yeah,
all the time. I don't love the idea of it being booked.
right.
Okay.
That's at least where the board fell
Yeah.
previously. That isn't to say that that can't change.
Oh, no,
I
I don't want
wonder-
to change it.
and
I just would
also-
include that,
Yeah.
just write it
Oh.
like an MOU, just
Yeah.
write out that,
Please know, if your party expands to the green,
yeah,
others will join
right.
and eat your food.
And this is the policy around it. This is who the contact is.
You don't want to grill underneath.
No, you
and
definitely
grease dripping
don't
all
want
over
to
your
grill.
beautiful floor. So like
Yeah.
you gotta lay it all out.
I mean, having grills like, with the parks, right? There's going to be a burn spot
Yeah.
underneath every grill that anyone
Yeah.
brings, unless
Well,
yeah,
bears are gonna
Propane
come.
unless it's a propane grill. Yeah, I'm not sure about expanding the pavilion and green piece. I like your idea, Harvey. I think like the pessimist in me is sort of like, who's going to do it?
Well, it's the same thing as a rec committee. It's the same idea.
Yeah, who's going to do it? I feel like-
We have a rec committee.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And they're volunteers and they
Yeah.
don't always do, they didn't even spend their money. So I just worry about building
That's
it
fair.
around that, I think it's a great idea. And if someone were gung ho about it and wanted to do it, yeah. But is that person, how do we find that person?
Yeah.
Is that person reliable? Does that transfer well?
But I also, sort of to Harvey's point, like, do you all want to be bogged down with me bringing every single event that happens over at the library to you for approval?
No.
No.
No. You know what I mean? Like, you guys
Yeah.
have bigger things going on than,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it's something way out of the ordinary, then
Right.
obviously yes, but, I think we could find a couple, even if it's just people in-house, to sort of be on this committee.
Yeah.
Well, let's ask.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
And so speaking to the rental agreement, it sounds like we're not going to approve what you drafted, but you're going to work off of this to expand it, like copy and paste, right?
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things on the front of this was like hours of availability outside of the hours of operation of the library. I feel like there's something there, not specifically that, because the library isn't using the upstairs, but that there is like deference given to town committees and what am I trying to say? Like the library, whether it's
Yeah.
the library, the planning commission, the historical society, like any of our committees and commissions that are planning to use
Yeah,
that
that's number 2.
gives priority.
That says that very clearly in
Yeah.
bullet 2 here.
Does?
Yeah, it says basically the
Oh,
town
priority
groups,
use.
organizations,
Yeah.
et cetera, commissions, committees, community program has priority.
Yeah.
That's why you need a scheduler, because
Yeah.
if somebody wants to use it, then somebody needs to be able to answer the question,
Yep.
this is what's on the schedule and these are the available slots.
Right.
Is that somebody, Rebecca, or is it a committee, or?
Right now it's me.
Right now it's,
And
yeah.
it used to be the town clerk.
Oh, it did?
Rita did it.
Okay.
Yep.
How far in advance can people book?
Yeah.
If somebody from out of town books 6 months in advance and somebody in town wants to use it, 2 months in advance.
That's a good question.
Well, I think we've always done first come,
Yeah.
first serve, which is
Yeah.
what it says here. Like if they booked
Yeah.
it, then they booked it.
So 6
But
months
usually it's
prior.
not booked. Like I booked it a week before our party.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not usually an issue.
And so then the other question, so they have right here, accommodations can be made for immediate needs, for example, a memorial service or use during an emergency. Typically, if you have a birthday party booked and someone in our community passes away and the family wants to have a memorial service, your birthday party gets bumped. So I don't
It's the
know,
first birthday.
how we wanna,
Have we had that experience often?
yeah, I've had to deal with it like 4 times,
Wow.
yeah.
And we
it's-
couldn't accommodate it with the different spaces?
Unfortunately not.
No.
So we
Bummer.
did a couple of times, but it's come up more than I thought it would. And people are generally pretty upset when I have to tell
Yeah.
them that,
And why,
I would imagine they would
I guess I wonder why the memorial service takes precedence. Is it a timeliness thing?
that's how it's always been since I started.
I feel
So-
like they could just have it at a different time. But maybe
Yeah.
that goes to the hours, like
Right.
being
Yeah.
more specific about when you're renting it. Cause
Yeah.
like the birthday party's in the morning, so.
Right.
Right.
Like you know, often we'll do 11 to 2 for a birthday party, but if we have hour restrictions, maybe it has to be
Right.
from 8 to noon or noon
Yeah.
to 4 or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That doesn't seem, we should be able to accommodate both. would
I feel like we
think.
could, that having the rental agreement might make it
Yeah.
easier to accommodate
Yeah.
both.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have one thing to add to the rental agreement.
Yes, please.
That is, if you rent it, you have to take a display case with you when you leave.
How about a treadmill?
That too.
We did hoe, Jim, you'd be proud of us. We did a lot of hoeing out last weekend. We moved
But
offices
you
around.
got rid of the elliptical?
We didn't get rid of the elliptical, but KMK is they're more than willing to
Hoe and throw.
move stuff out for us. So
Well, there you go, horsepower.
the display cases are my next
I
project.
thought Adam wanted those.
Zawodowski.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he asked for them
he's gotta move quick.
when
Yeah.
a long time
'Cause-
ago we talked.
Yeah.
He was here. And he wanted them.
Yeah,
Let me,
he's
I'll
gotta take
contact
them.
him tomorrow.
Great.
That's what I remember.
Love that.
He's got a week.
Take them. We've been looking for storage options. I found an awesome hardwood maple bench, but it was like gone
Yeah.
before I got to it. I most recently found an antique pine cupboard that's beadboard, which actually matches the wainscoting right around the. I think that's where it is, the wainscoting
Yeah.
around the town hall, or just the stage. That could be painted to match. That has some shelving in it. So we're trying to find some inexpensive options to build out some storage up there.
Because apparently it's gotten pretty bad downstairs again.
Yeah.
So
Downstairs, upstairs. Okay, so Harvey, you and Rebecca are working on this?
Sure.
Awesome. Good work.
I'll send you a new draft.
Great.
Copy and paste. Or down. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, do you,
No, I think
also
it's-
if you want Don Wexler's contact info, I can get that to you. He's on the select board, just to chat with him and make sure it's okay.
Okay.
You want me to send it?
No, I was gonna reach out to their town clerk.
Okay. Okay, what's next? Town garage bid approvals. Just want to start by saying the Act 250 permit was issued today.
So great. When I read that, I was like,
I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I actually teared up.
did you?
Yes, because again, from the beginning of my time on the select board, this has been, what are we gonna do about the town garage? And then the big issue was, are we gonna be able to get this permit? Because of these former agreements and the whole rigmarole around it, and it took a lot of pushing even to get the board to a point where they were willing to reopen that conversation. And so it feels like, whew, it's actually happening. Like, I know we got the bond passed and we're in plans and we have a start date and all of those things, but without the permit,
Yeah. You're not
none of
going
it mattered.
Yeah.
So that was great. Okay, so what we have here is the question around heat pumps and solar arrays. I'm happy to try and help answer any questions based on this document that is, I just sort of collated the information that came from both Steve at Weeman Lampfair and Bert at REARC. The one piece that we don't have yet is this 200 kW array maximizing the roof space. Bert is hoping to get an answer on that within the next week or two. It sounded to me like maybe not, because it's a really big roof and there's nothing else up there. So we could always have that conversation. We could add more down the line, etc.
I thought the discussion around heat pumps was very helpful, and I understand better now why they make sense. They're not just the heat pumps, residential heat pumps that you think of when somebody says heat pump.
Right.
But I would still want to confirm, I mean, I don't know if it's worth having a solar person come and talk to us, but it's a big contract, and I'd want to confirm what the warranty is on the solar panels and the inverters and all that. Because the old inverters had a 10-year warranty, which is not great. But according to Solar Zach, the new ones have a 30-year warranty, so we should make sure we're getting the 30-year. But if Suncommon or what was the other one?
Sterling Mountain.
Sterling. It's only 2 quotes too. I don't know if it's worth.
He's getting a third?
He's getting a third. Yeah, so we still have an opportunity to approve any bid that comes through the regular construction process. So they're gonna hold together, I mean, we've already sort of said no to Suncommon, but
Yeah.
Sterling and Green Mountain Solar, and if we want another one, we can get another one. And then we'll have an opportunity to talk with our team about which one we wanna go with.
Gotcha.
I'm
There was
just
a pretty
wanna
big
make,
difference in the quote too.
Yeah.
yeah, it was a significant difference. And those were both done quickly.
Yeah.
So I think we're hoping that Sterling Mountain is looking at it again.
Yeah.
And Green Mountain can look at it and we can have a better understanding.
We have time. I mean, right? We're not going to have to.
We have time. Commercial solar credits are available through July 1st of 2026. I don't know how far along one must be
I was just gonna ask that.
for those credits. So it sounds to me like we have a couple of questions and I want to make sure I get them right to Bert. So one is, what is the warranty
On the full system, the inverters, the
on
panels,
the
the whole.
full solar array?
Yeah, and I didn't realize there was a dependency on credits embedded where it would cost more if we go past a certain date.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
$63,000
Credit in there.
credit. Not in the price tag you saw. After that, I think. Maybe I got that wrong. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I think it
And
was
I don't have
after.
that document up. I think it's after. I think they took another 63,000 off of the 212 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to know about the warranty. The second question was, how far along do we need to be to make use?
to get the 63,000. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I'm like, I would love to just say like, yeah, we want to do this so that once we get, if we want to do it, so
Yeah.
that once we get it, we can lock it in.
I didn't
And
realize we had to decide.
it may
in time to get
be,
the credits.
so like with the heat pumps, the residential credits expired December 31st of last year. You had to buy the heat pump because that's where that rebate was processed
Yeah.
upon purchase. So I wonder, it's probably similar with the panels.
Yeah.
Are there credits for the heat pumps for commercial space?
I haven't seen a rebate on the heat pumps for the commercial space, but let's ask that too. Of course, this is all going away. So I want to make sure that we're clear with Bert and that they have extended the pricing on the items that are pending through the 30th of April. So like locking in the bid pricing for the heat pumps.
I'm all in on the heat pumps.
Where are you on
I'm
heat
good
pumps?
Time is heat pumps.
Okay, so good on heat
And
pumps.
Camilla said that she's inclined to support the heat pumps.
Yeah, I think we just could spend a little more time on the solar.
And I think she said that it's hard for her to make a final decision at this point.
Yeah. And you all saw the rest of these answers, that the boiler maintenance, yes, it should be cycled, and that they can set that all up. Yes, there's radiant flooring no matter what. And this CM contingency, this is really good. This 3% construction management contingency was a fixed cost. Upon asking them about it, they've agreed to make it an allowance.
Oh.
It is, however, at their discretion. as to whether or not it needs to be used. And what it gets used for are like minor fluctuations in pricing, so that they don't have to come back to us with a change order because something took 6 man-hours longer than they thought it would.
Right.
They have this contingency, they just pay the extra amount.
Yeah.
Which is actually really nice.
Yeah.
So that was awesome of them to do. Oh, sorry. And do I have that? Do you have the bid matrix pulled up
I do.
still? Let me see that. Okay, so on pending, we've got outdoor heat pumps. We're saying, yes, we want them. The other pending is excess earthwork, but that's not waiting on us. That's just pending because we don't know yet.
Yep.
The performance bond, we're keeping. I already told them that.
And then the solar.
Yeah, the solar.
And I think there's one more on the next page.
So 210 is the installed cost. Eligible for a 30% federal direct pay credit back to the town of Warren.
We just need the date on that. Yeah. We, like you said, we need the specifics on when we'd have to do it by to get that. That's big. That's a big credit.
Yeah. And then an update on the electrical changes. Did you guys see that? They went back to the engineer. They thought that they were gonna have to bill us for an extra $27,998 for if we do the PV system, changing the 800 amp to 1000 amp main distribution panel. They've figured out a workaround so they don't have to do that. So it's $8,000 more instead of the $28,000 more. So they saved $20,000 on that.
Oh, that's what this bolded paragraph meant. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, that piece, sorry. So that's awesome.
Good.
So I think we need a couple of questions about the size of the array, the warranty on the array. Like, are we genuinely going to be eligible for the commercial credit? Like, are we in time?
Yeah. What's the eligibility
And
requirements?
then, as far as the heat pumps, just out of interest and follow up, like, are there also rebates to be achieved here?
Yeah.
And what they may have done, if there are, they might already just be in the price and they
Right.
don't mention them. That's how my team usually works it through.
Yeah.
Just because they've become so common. Okay, so we'll let Bert know. Yes on heat pumps. Please answer these questions about solar. Do we feel like I don't want to put them off any longer than necessary. I'll communicate whatever Bert says via email.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have another meeting.
2 weeks.
It should be okay, right? It'll be before the 30th, so
Yeah.
it should be fine.
Yeah.
What was the 30th for? What's that deadline?
That's when they're holding the pricing for, so our next meeting is the 28th.
For the solar.
Yeah.
But they're still going to go through an RFP process, so.
They're actively getting other bids.
Yeah.
So it should be fine. If for some reason he says, oh, yeah, you're right, we better act on this immediately, we could call an emergency meeting to decide
Yeah.
and do it by.
That's all right.
Okay. Awesome. Are we good? Any other questions?
That's great.
Awesome.
Nice work.
Okay, other business. STR update. Let's start there.
So you guys all got an update from Carrie. And she finally had a meeting with them yesterday. And they are helping her with the compliance letter based on the feedback that we had all given to her. And so she has a follow-up meeting with them next week, and then the hope is that the letters will go out at that point. And that is, I believe, a letter that will come, that Granicus will do the heavy lifting of the compliance letter. Yeah, compliance letter review. The official compliance letter was sent to Granicus for their review and handling. So Carrie won't have to do
Perry, do you have?
any of that. He does have that. The matrix on the front, so total approved applications is only 109. Total identified is 449, 24% compliance rate. Of applications pending action 6th, so, you know, it's still just not getting the people to be in compliance.
I mean, it's a partial year. We had the whole partial year confusion, so.
Right.
I think we,
Can I ask a question on the number? 109 and 6 is 115. Times 200 is 23,000.
I don't know what that means. This is Carrie's update, so I don't know what that means. She got her number from Patty, so
So we found some money somewhere.
maybe.
People paid.
Well, we're still $22,000 away from paying for it.
I guess it's possible somebody has 2 or 3 short-term rentals. maybe,
Correct.
and
So that might be.
I would think you would want one application for each.
Well, I was just gonna
short-term.
say, I think each application, each address is a separate license. So they should all count as $200.
yeah, we should just check.
But yeah, I can clarify with Carrie. I would like to see Carrie come to a meeting. I know that the planning commission is also trying to get her.
She was at their meeting last night.
She was not at the meeting last night. She was supposed to be, and she had a conflict, but I think they received
That.
a similar. I know she's also in the works with
Josh.
either scheduling a meeting with Josh or having a meeting with Josh soon. I don't know, Jim. I don't know if you have a better update based on last night.
The meeting might have happened today.
Okay, with her and Josh
Yes.
and Franny.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So I had spoken with Josh and Franny and asked him just to, you know, we were looping him in with Carrie, and he seemed optimistic about helping to sort out the problematic communication with Granicus. Because he was instrumental in the onboarding process and in the like choosing Granicus process, and he and Sam were very hands-on at that point with the planning commission, right, Jim?
Maybe with Dan, no, I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of that.
Okay, and so he felt like he could be helpful in that regard.
Great.
I think this is a good update. I wonder if it is, I think I'd like to be at this meeting next week.
With Granicus.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell her. I don't know if it
Just so
says.
she has someone, you know, that to back her up
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
hold
just
them
says schedule
accountable.
for
You know,
22nd.
even if I just gotta put their feet to the fire. We should send Harvey. You're good at that. This is a compliment. Sorry, I didn't feel like it.
Are there alternatives to Granicus?
Yes.
Yes.
But what does that look like with all the work that we've already done with
Switching
Granicus?
midstream.
Yeah.
Not much different. I mean, in the big picture, right? I mean, they've got all the same tools as far as address identification and that stuff. I mean,
I mean,
it's
we
just
we already know.
another software vendor that provides the same service.
Yeah.
We know the 449 rentals, so it would just be a conversion, software conversion.
Yeah.
It would just be, yeah, it's just they create the same database you already have with their data.
Yeah.
And as far as the user interface, it wouldn't much matter. Hopefully, it would just be a
It looks the
different
same.
yeah.
Yeah, I looked at both of them, and I'm struggling to remember the name of the other company.
Yeah.
And there are at least 4, but there were 2 kind of major players, and they look extremely similar.
Well, I wonder if it's worth a conversation with said competitor.
Yeah.
And if so, who would do that? Maybe that's a place where,
When's our contract anniversary?
December.
I think we should consider that. We don't have to decide now, but
yeah.
I think it's absolutely worth
yeah.
a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we have
But-
Jim be a part of it, and I don't know if somebody else from the.
Harry,
corporation-
you're right on point here, is that you won't get their kind of technical assistance or technical attention without bringing some, something, a cost to them to bear, and that is it losing the contract. So
Right.
Yeah,
right now, you're kind of a free customer for them. You paid, we're done.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and Carrie's update is pretty clear. This lack of communication or even understanding between Open Forums and Granicus is laughable.
Yeah. Big time.
And let them know that you're looking, that you're not
Yeah.
happy, and,
Well, I think if you have a meeting, you need to let them know that.
yeah,
Yeah,
a shot across the
Yeah.
bow, 'cause it's a lot cheaper
Yeah.
for them to keep a customer than to get a new one.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But I do think maybe this summer we could explore getting quotes from,
Yeah,
All the other
where do we
vendors.
think that work sits? Who should,
oh, I think with Carrie.
Granicus team, April 22nd. Okay, why don't we start with the meeting on the 22nd and see where that goes?
Great. But just know going in that the board is supportive of exploring other options.
Yeah, great. Love that.
You just do it gently now, because you have until
Yeah.
December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you go in too strong, then
Yeah.
they're gonna say, screw you people.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
All right, I'll put my negotiator hat on, team.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I just put away that I need to reference. What else? What's next? Are we good on STRs for the moment? Okay. We're not gonna be worrying about the accounts payable review process, if that's all right with you all,
Yeah.
unless you think we should still attend to it.
No. But adjacent to that, did anybody dial into the Select Board Essentials
No,
Saturday?
I have been before,
Oh,
but a
okay.
long time ago.
They had a financial update with Marguerite Ladd. Do you know her?
Yep. She's great.
She really is great. And they have a lot of templates for financial policies that are kind of the basic financial policies that a town should have. From what I can tell, we have one of the 6. But
And the 6, they recommend having all 6?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess I think we need to start putting that on the agenda. I think that's why I was asking about the schedule of the agenda to say,
Huh.
well, if there's 6 of them, can we put one
Yeah.
in May, one in June, and they have a template, and then we can look at the template and see what makes sense and go from there. And Patty, of course, would be the one. Well, the board would implement the policy. But it would, of course, directly affect Patty, so.
Yeah. Would she be drafting them, do you think?
They have
Or-
templates, I mean,
So
we would
what
just be.
are, I guess, can you just fill us in a little bit more on what these policies
I'll
pertain
read
to?
them to you. There is a purchasing procurement, which is one we have, an investment policy, a debt management policy, a capital planning policy, a budget development policy, and a fund balance policy. So we could compare our purchasing policy to the template. It's pretty new, I imagine.
I think that we didn't adopt the whole new one, you just took pieces of it.
But we should have an investment policy. It's not a huge deal. We just should have one. A debt management policy now that we have a substantial amount of debt. Capital planning policy we've talked about doing.
Yeah.
It's good to know that they have a template for it. That should make things a lot easier. Budget development, I think we certainly could benefit from that.
Yeah.
And then the fund balance policy is a new one. They just passed something called Act 57, July 1st, 2025. And it deals with how much fund balance towns should target carrying over every year. So last year when we set the tax rate, we don't have a policy, and so I said, well, we should think about carrying over 10%, which was a couple $100,000, as a fund balance going forward for uncertainties and the like.
Yeah.
What this new act suggests, at least as I understand it, is that we should have a policy around that. So how much do you pay back to taxpayers by lowering the tax rate to the extent you have excess fund balance? If you have negative fund balance, what do you do? That is, if you had expenses in excess of what you collected. I think it'd just be really helpful to have
I agree.
a policy around that.
So this, again, it's like, putting it in circulation.
Yeah.
In perpetuity,
Yeah.
as opposed to relying on the knowledge or memory of
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
a certain person.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
so,
think that we can achieve one a month? I'm just thinking about like the capital planning.
I think that one might be,
Is this the woman that presented?
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah.
I think that one might be,
It seems
that might need more of our attention, but I
Yeah.
think those other ones, I think with Patty's assistance, I think we
Yeah.
most definitely,
The capital planning, I think, would
that's
be
an
later in the
ongoing, I
year.
think. Yeah.
But although we need clarity around it for the audit, the 25 audit.
And KMK is doing a fair bit of work to help us understand
Right.
what should be going into that capital plan. So
Yeah.
is that policy, does that policy direct a capital plan, or is the policy the plan?
The policy says that you need to have a plan.
I see.
And we typically lay out things like, these are the things you should be considering in the plan.
Yeah.
This is how the plan gets funded.
Yep.
But just kind of laying out the parameters, not the actual plan
Right.
itself.
This sounds like something for the project list,
Okay.
which we still haven't gotten to. I
Well-
think that's a great idea. I wonder if it might be worth taking, or, even if you wanted to just do this on your own or with Patty and say, hey, which are the easy ones?
Yeah.
And let's start with those. And
I'd like to just get them on the agenda, and that kind of
Yeah.
gives us a target date to
yeah,
get it done.
Okay.
So, I'll just, if it makes
so
sense, I'll
Rebecca
throw
and
it
I
on
are
the
the
agenda.
gatekeepers of the agenda.
Yeah,
And I think what would be helpful for me anyway is if you could prioritize them.
yeah,
Like send them to us in a prioritization list.
Yeah.
And we'll populate them on the agenda, and then we'll maneuver if we need to,
okay.
if that would make sense. Sometimes we have something urgent come up and
Oh, no, no, I
we
know.
push the project list.
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
That would be awesome.
yeah.
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 Get us
So,
going.
speaking of finances and stuff, Patty sent Harvey and I an email this afternoon. She's wondering if she should apply for the tax anticipation note,
Yes.
just to get it, on the books and if we need it. Harvey had replied and said that he asked her where we were on getting the capital account
Moved over.
moved
Transfer.
over, and that he would rather borrow from that first before borrowing on, a loan that has a higher interest rate. But I think that we should still apply for the TAN, so
There's
that
no-
we have it, and if we don't use it, just like the bond anticipation note that we haven't used.
There's
you
no,
know.
Totally agree.
there's no fee.
Okay.
Which is
Awesome.
Okay,
unlike in
Yeah.
the commercial world,
Yeah.
it'd be a substantial fee, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
if there's
Okay.
no fee,
okay, so I'll have her work on
Open
that.
it up.
Yeah. And then the other conversation that
Wait, before you move on,
Yeah.
where are we on moving the capital?
I don't know the answer to that. I think Patty's been working with Megan. They, I don't know the answer to that. She had some stuff this afternoon. I got interrupted by someone else, so she and I are gonna try to meet tomorrow.
Okay.
But that is
Well,
one of my
if
questions.
yeah, let us know.
And
Okay.
the reason is that Northfield is giving us a better deal than the other banks.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
what's-
we
is
should
that
maybe
something?
give an update on
I'm
our,
just curious what happened.
banking
Well,
conversation?
that was in that kind of long banking
Yeah.
email, but yeah, the Northfield is giving us an excellent rate, significantly in excess of what TD Bank was giving us. So,
3.1%.
and if the accounts are all in the same bank, it allows us to do froms, which is standard
Yeah.
government accounting. So as opposed to borrowing from somebody else, to the extent you have money invested, one account could borrow from the other temporarily, and account for that in your ledger. So
Like what we did for the bond.
yeah.
Yeah.
So especially with the delay in the collection of taxes, we want to have that available,
Cool.
as well as a TAN.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great meeting.
Yeah,
They did a great job.
they really did.
It's gonna be really nice and
Yeah.
cleaned
Yeah.
up.
There will be a lot of clarity around the bank account structure. So we'll have two primary accounts, a general account and a capital account, but then we'll have all sub-accounts or bank accounts for the smaller items, which there's 6 or 8 of them, all the different
The Conservation Commission,
different
the
committees. And
Cemetery Commission.
they'll have their own bank account, but those bank accounts now will be earning the preferred interest rate, and they'll be reconciled centrally, and the amount of control around the cash will be substantial. The other big thing that came out of that meeting, which also came up at the Select Board Essentials, is the fraud incident that occurred elsewhere in the state, where the check payer for a substantial sum of money was tricked into sending the check to the wrong account. Somebody had hacked into the emails, sent the wrong account information. It was actually an ACH, and was sent to an erroneous account, a fraudulent account, and wired offshore before anybody was the wiser, and the money's gone. And it was a substantial amount of money. And so one of the things that Northfield is doing for us is adding a number of controls around ACHs and checks, positive pay for checks, they call it, which basically means that if a check is getting paid, or positive pay for ACHs, or an ACH is getting paid, you get a list at the end of the day that says, before we clear these, just double check and make sure you actually wrote all these and that they're going to the right place. So it's...
So how, in that scenario that you laid out, where someone hacked the system and gave erroneous account information, how would that show up in that positive pay scenario?
Well, positive pay wouldn't fix that.
Yeah.
So what would correct that is if you get an email with any change to banking information, or if you're sending out a big check or a big ACH ever, call up. The only way to get around that is to call and make sure that. And in fact, they had a phone number, and if you called, they had somebody answering the phone in that situation.
Yeah. I'm not sure that one really could have been prevented.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sophisticated.
Yeah, and they're targeting small amount
Yeah,
counts.
exactly.
So the more sophistication we can put around our cash controls, it's especially important now.
Yeah.
And if you have big checks going out for things like town
Yeah.
garages, it's especially important.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe handing a paper check in those scenarios is really the best way to go. Person to person. I have a lot of clients who do that.
Yeah.
I insist on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Also credit cards.
Yeah, Patty she received the application today, and I think that she just needs to sort of know who's going to get one of these credit cards.
Yeah. So the credit card that the town is applying for, or has applied for, is a parent-child credit card, typical corporate card. So it'll be, Rebecca will be the parent, and then there will be child subsidiary cards that will have different credit limits that can be changed. So if somebody needs to go out and buy an air compressor that's higher than their normal credit limit, that can be changed temporarily. They can go buy it, and then. But what we don't want as a town is department heads laying out their own money and then submitting for it. That's inefficient. With the credit cards, the town will get 1% cash back, I think. So the town, there will be benefits for the town. And from a cash control perspective, it's significantly better.
Yeah.
And it's a known card and it won't get rejected, you know,
Their name
everywhere
will-
we go, and
yeah.
somebody's name will be on it, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Patty received the application today, so she said that she was gonna get that done tomorrow. The one thing that she and I did talk about, this afternoon, she's feeling, because accounts payable is done by someone who's not here on a regular basis, she's feeling very detached from that piece of her job. And so she wanted to know, sort of, you know, what authority, if you will, does she have as the treasurer? And I said, well, you know, you are the keeper of the funds as the treasurer. So I think at this point, she and Carrie and I are gonna sit down and try and come up with a new process that works for both Patty and Carrie.
And maintains
and-
our
yep.
separation of duties?
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay,
So, yep.
great.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next thing, I do want to acknowledge we have 2 letters of resignation submitted today. One is from Jim Sanford to the members of the Warren Select Board. He says, I understand from Ruth Robbins that a letter from me is needed to make my departure from the Planning Commission official. Please accept this note as fulfilling the requirement. It's been a great privilege to serve with a group of committed individuals over the past 25 years, and I believe we have kept Warren on a good path to the future. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. James L. Sanford. Our second resignation comes from Ken Scott. It says, by this note, I submit my resignation from the Warren Select Board. Respectfully, Ken Scott. So we now have a vacancy on the Select Board, which we will seek to remedy with an appointment. Anyone interested, please be in touch. Okay, other business. I think we have time for a little bit more.
Yeah.
I have one more
Yeah.
item if I could. The insurance people gave a presentation on Saturday.
Passive.
Passive, thank you. And I thought they did a really good job, and I felt really good about our insurance coverage. But what I also thought might be helpful is they are willing to come and talk to us, arguably once a year, about our coverage. Essentially, it sounds like they decide based on their claim experience what our coverage level should be for all of our different types of liability, which I think is fine, but I think it would be helpful for the board to understand what our coverages are and what's included and how they came up with that, just as helpful information. And they're willing to come out and do it. So I might add that to the list of things we should try.
Would you
Get
like
scheduled.
to see that as an agenda item, or do you
Yeah.
think that would be like a special meeting, 1 or 2 of us with them walking around the grounds and then reporting back to the board?
I don't know. I could go either way.
Yeah. In my experience with organizations like that, it's easier for them during the day, but
That's
I'm
true.
not sure. I mean, they work with municipalities, so I'm sure they're accustomed
Yeah.
to evening meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're so responsive when you reach out.
They're great. They really are.
And they came across very much that way in the discussion.
And so what is the hopeful outcome of this business?
Just that we would have as part of our annual process, kind of an update on what our coverages are and our understanding of how the town's protected by passive.
Yeah.
And, you know, us as individuals,
Yeah.
we're insured by passive in our role here,
Yeah.
and how that all works.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
let's reach out to them and ask, express interest in that, and
Yeah.
maybe ask them to sort of guide what the format of that
Yeah.
typically is.
All right, I'll reach out to them.
That'd be great. Okay, we have a couple of things that we want to run through. The safety action plan rep. Did you guys get that email? I don't know. It went to Selectboard, I think.
Maybe.
So,
And it was in my town administrator update.
yeah, the safety action plan committee is looking at using traffic funds, right?
Let me just, I think I summarized it in my.
Yeah, you did. Also, I heard you had a great meeting with Josh.
So,
He was very excited.
Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission's developing a regional safety action plan using funding from the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. This effort will identify transportation safety improvements and support future funding applications. We're scheduling consultations with municipalities in the coming months. I would like to meet with the road foreman, one select board member, one planning commission member, and administrative staff.
Is that something that sounds exciting to anybody to participate in? I am okay with being the representative. I feel like I've been sort of spearheading a lot of the traffic calming.
Yeah.
Yay, speed bumps. And I'm happy to continue doing that work.
Thanks,
If that
Ellen.
works for you guys.
Good, that's great.
Great.
Cleanup day.
Can we just quickly talk about the paving? Because I just want to make sure that I have
Yes,
an answer for
sure,
Andrew.
of course.
Andrew would like to pave the East Warren Schoolhouse lot.
Oh,
He
yay.
said that it's a nightmare for them to grade
Yeah.
and maintain.
It has giant potholes
Has
all
giant
the time.
potholes. He said it's not going to take a lot to get the surface to where it needs to be paved. I guess he talked to Pike. Pike said that they would bid it out for us, but he said it's really not a project that they're interested in because it's so tiny. But he said that he talked to the guy from Johnson Paving, and they are extremely interested in doing it. But he just wanted to get the select board's feel for whether or not.
Yeah, I mean, if we can, please get a couple of prices.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
I know that
definitely.
isn't always possible,
Yep.
but that would be great. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, what is?
What's the
I'm sure
downside?
the market would be happy about it,
Yeah.
and Roots Work would be happy,
And all
do
the
we-
delivery drivers and all of my vehicles.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any downside to it? Is there?
Maybe the chickens will be upset, I don't know.
I think that, just it's a nightmare for them to try to grade because there's always cars parked up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're so worried about damaging a car, and their graders are big, and so.
Yeah. I think there's just that one spot where, like, going into the shed where the EV charger is, that they'll need to make sure to make that transition clean.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess we should probably ask the market for if they're the loading dock where the trucks back up and all that stuff. Like, I think there's 2 giant concrete pillars on either side. Just, I don't know if we should communicate with them to
Yeah.
make sure that, like,
Well, technically,
They're-
our communication is with Roots Work,
With Roots Work, yeah.
and they communicate with the market. This begs the next question, which is, when are we going to work on this lease? Have you made any contact with Sheila about?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Okay. Let's follow up.
Okay.
I'm down. Let's get some pricing.
Okay.
And communicate with Roots Work.
Yep.
Will you circulate an email?
Yep.
Please and thank you.
The cemetery's
just-
right there too. I don't know, like, if we, is there,
Do we have enough in our capital fund to fund that and
We do.
the big project,
Yeah.
which was
West Hill.
West Hill? Yeah. Good. I think it's a great idea.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Which
Okay.
end of West Hill?
It'll be. Well, it'll be this side of West Hill because we're doing the bank stabilization project hopefully this year.
Oh,
So yeah.
so like,
So right here. Yeah.
Will it be the entirety of West Hill?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Cleanup day.
Cleanup day. You've got 2 dates that
Yep.
work for you.
They were
were?
for me and Julie. And they were
9th and the
the
16th.
9th and the 16th. So it's basically just, you know, a community day, work day to help clean up the municipal and town hall grounds. Julie and I tried to organize it last year and it never happened. But just to sort of pick up the extra trash and, you know, stuff that Lucas doesn't do.
Pull
you know, as the grounds.
weeds.
Pull weeds from like the, you know, the,
Spruce things up.
yeah, exactly. So,
Well, the 16th is better for me.
okay.
I can't help 16th. I can't do the
Up
16th.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You could do the 9th though.
Yeah.
You could do the 9th, not the 16th. I could do the second half of the 9th, just not the first half.
Is it different from the Mad River Valley
Green Up Day?
cleanup?
Yeah.
day?
Yes.
Combine it. People are in the
I
spirit.
think our intention is not structured around trash, but rather like
Yeah.
pruning,
Yeah.
plantings,
Yeah.
maybe mulch, rocks. She's a landscaper and she was gonna sort of spearhead whatever materials we need and organize everyone into what needs doing. There was a time when we thought about that also being like minor construction projects, but I think we've onboarded
Yeah.
a firm that's better adept at that than us fixing the ADA ramp. I guess, so either day I can be there, you know, like 11-ish.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Harvey?
I'm out of town. The 9th and the 16th.
I mean, I'd
It's a
rather
landscape.
do the 9th just because it's, you know, it's getting nicer out and more
Yeah,
people are starting to use the space.
yeah, sooner rather than
Yeah.
later. And Joel's available.
Okay. Great.
Great. Yeah,
I will
let's do it.
start to put some feelers out.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, basement, if it's quick.
Yeah, it's quick. As you know, we've been moving offices around. KMK came last weekend and those guys are amazing. Chad and his guys they got stuff cleaned out of this building. They took a trip to the dump and it was just great. So Patty and Julie and I have been down in the basement going through some of the boxes that we got a list of all the records, you know, the retention records and stuff, to see how many at this point there's 85 boxes to be shredded. I was gone to the vet this afternoon, so I have to go back down tomorrow and make sure that there truly is 85 or if it's maybe more like 65.
What are those?
It's old payroll, it's old everything, old accounts payable, it's just a lot of stuff. So what we did come across is a lot of historical stuff. And we're feeling like because that basement is very damp, it's not temperature controlled, that's probably not the best place for a lot of that stuff. And I know that the Historical Society also doesn't have space, you know, that's temperature controlled and all of that to store that. So I'm going to the Historical Society meeting tomorrow night, and I'm hoping that maybe we can bring it up, but I'm wondering if some of these documents, if we can pay a company like Secure Shred to store them for us in a temperature controlled environment. It's off-site. Anytime we want to access it, we can ask them to pull it. We can go get it. I think they're maybe based in Colchester, so they're not super far away. But these are like old grand lists from like the 1800s.
Oh, that's fun.
And so I think it's stuff that the town really should keep,
Yeah.
but it really shouldn't be stored in the basement. So we don't have to make a decision about it tonight, but just something to be
I think it's worth getting a
thinking
quote.
about. Okay, I'll get a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is it gonna cost?
Okay.
Yeah, let's get a quote.
Jim, I don't know if you want to chime in at all, but
Yeah, so we had a pretty extensive report done by Jane Caldwalder from VASRA. She's connected with the state records, and we had her take a look down there about what records needed to be preserved in temperature control. And so we've kind of had an assessment done. We came to the same conclusion you guys did, right? I mean, that's not a great spot for a lot of our records.
Yeah.
And we too are suffering with, okay, where do we put, sensitive records that we want to keep? But I'd be interested to see how much it costs.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to just do like a bulk batch of scanning and have it put on the cloud service somewhere? Like just scan all the documents just so that they're available, like that we can know that they're there, and then also stores them. I mean, if we're gonna move them, would it make sense to move them
Scan
once,
them,
to scan them and
Yeah.
then move them, and just so that like somebody could go through them?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Joel, I mean, my opinion here is if we're gonna spend money to do that, we ought to do that with the permits. And, we ought to do that with our current records.
For sure.
Yeah, that would be my priority if I were thinking about that is.
Okay.
I'd love to see a quote for that too. I think, do we know, are there services that'll come and do the scanning for us? I mean, I think.
If I recall, I think Rita got a grant to hire somebody and I think that's when she was getting all of her land records scanned. Let me talk to Rita and see, bless you, who she used, where she got the grant from. But yeah, I agree 100% that this is, I mean, something that we found out when we were moving is that we really need to get a structural engineer into this building to find out the integrity of this building, because the floor is literally going like this. There's just so much stuff on these old floors, and so I think the more that we can scan and get off of the floors, we would be in such better shape.
Even if we need to store it off-site, at least have it scanned.
Yeah, exactly. So we can still access it.
I mean, maybe that project doesn't happen until 27 and
Right.
goes in the 27 budget, but it'd be nice to
Get a price.
get a price and start planning around that.
So all of this stuff need to be, like, is this current and need to be,
Well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's current,
right, but
it's, it
needs-
should be scanned and, I mean, if this building, knock on whatever, caught on fire, God forbid, it would be gone.
yeah.
It would all be gone.
Yeah.
So, except for those massively heavy safes that are upstairs that took 5 KMK guys to move.
Are they fireproof?
They are.
Oh, they moved
They're
them?
concrete, they move.
You guys gotta go upstairs, it looks
Yeah.
really good.
Looks great.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Okay, I think getting pricing
Something to think about, yeah.
is really good, and it's sort of, I guess it's not part of a capital plan, but it feels like it,
I think so.
managing our
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I think it's something we need to start working toward. And I know that, I think Rita had intended to keep doing that work.
Correct.
There is a Public Records Act too that I think.
Is there a policy for this? You
There
got
probably
one of
is. That wasn't my focus.
those? Okay.
So that's it.
All right, great. Can we sign some stuff? Wow.
Yeah,
'Tis the season of
Yeah.
liquor.
for sure.
Thanks, Barry.
All right. Thank you, Barry, for being here. All right, so we've got
Is that
the
recycled?
certification of compliance for town road and bridge
More town
standards,
stuff, yeah.
which we discussed
This one's.
Yeah, I don't want there's
last
2 of
week.
them in
There
there.
are, why?
I
I think that it's just a duplicate.
think it's just duplicate.
I think it's just a duplicate.
There's only one.
So we talked about the town and bridge standards, right, that was all sent to us. We read through that last time. This is a formality. I don't need to adopt it again. We
No.
did.
Yeah.
We're just signing.
It just needs to be signed to go to the municipal highway grant.
Okay.
Here, shred. It says store right on their label.
Yeah.
Here's your pen, Harvey.
Annual financial plan, town highways. What is this?
So basically, V-Trans just wants to know what your major projects are for the fiscal year.
And so these are costs associated?
Those are the dollar amounts that the town of Warren receives for Route 100 running through our town.
These are all, even though it's class 2 and 3?
These 2 right here.
Okay, or Route 100. So they give us 1.668 million.
No, that's our budget.
They
That's
give
what we
us 139,466.
Okay, so
That
this is what they give us?
correct. This is our highway budget.
I see. Okay, and this needs, we the legislative body of the municipality of Warren certified that funds raised by municipal taxes are equivalent to or greater than a sum of at least $300 per mile for each mile of class 1, 2, and 3 town highways in the municipality. And this figure has been,
This is
a
all them.
calculation of
Mhm.
our mileage against our budget.
Correct.
Move?
Do we need to move?
So moved.
I don't know if you have to move it.
I don't think we have to
just-
move this.
We're
I
certified.
think we
Yeah.
just sign it, yeah.
And we're hoping that they'll give us some funds towards,
This is the one.
yep, towards the sidewalk project and the bridge project.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Payroll. $75,125.67.
Should be
Four.
4, yep.
20, 24, 44, and 30. 70 some odd? Yeah. Great. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There are 4 of these. This is good, but his signature got shorter, shorter, and shorter. Ah! All right, accounts payable.
I can't tell if it's a 9 or a 7.
7.
7 or 7?
7, 4.
7,
Seven.
yeah, 7, 4.
174.
Yeah.
$220,174.92.
It is a 4. I'm doing this. Do I have a second? Are you moving accounts payable?
I'm gonna move that.
Okay. Harvey,
Second.
all those in favor?
Because we haven't,
Granicus, there it is.
Yeah.
Getting paid 30 grand.
there's an extra
MVP,
week.
28,000, there's an extra week, yeah.
Yeah, so accounts payable is now being done every other
And
week.
Niagara planning, 17,000.
There's some big ones in that one.
There's some big ones. Niagara resource management
Yeah.
and the Vermont Bond Bank.
So we're rest.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry. Ooh,
It's fine. It just, I know it is.
minutes of March 24th. That was cute. Harvey Campbell. Did you see that?
No.
Of the
I know, I was like,
minutes?
wait, what?
How did this even happen? And then the meeting had gone, time had gone back to 6. She
Yeah.
must have pulled from an old
I
draft.
think she did.
Do I have a motion to approve the meetings for March 24th?
Yes, I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then we've got a whole stack of liquor licenses.
And he's got the
Oh,
little
this
pages.
is, actually, this has Kaylee's name on it still.
That one does? I'll just fix I'll wait it out.
Yeah. Do we want to sign it? Did you sign it anyway?
I did sign it, but
Okay.
like, I just wanted to point that out.
Yes,
I'll
good
write it
job.
out.
Excellent. Okay, Sadie Dog,
There.
the Warren Store, the Pitcher Inn. Okay, the Warren, Sadie Dog is seeking a second class liquor license for the Warren Store, a first and third class for the Pitcher Inn. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Maybe we shouldn't. What, did I say that out loud? John, your sound stopped working, all right?
I feel like they come more than once a year.
Are we all,
Every year,
we're all
right?
signing these?
We have to sign them. We don't actually have to sign them, but we do sign them. Okay, it feels like.
It's a full year, right?
Yeah, I think it's a year. I don't think we've seen Sadie Dog in a while.
Yeah.
Global Montello Group, tobacco license.
I think that's Jiffy Mart.
Jiffy Mart, number 685. Well, no. Yes. Do we approve a tobacco license for Jiffy Mart? Moved.
Move to approve.
Seconded by Harvey.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
You know what it was? It was all the Sugar Bush ones that came through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another tobacco license for Global Montello Group for Jiffy Mart. Wow. What's different?
It's different.
Will you just,
I'll take a look.
Same as the number, looks the same.
the number on the top there? 74123.
No, one's 123 and one's 125. Different.
See?
Here's another one for them, but this is second class.
They're different license numbers.
I wonder if it's like the difference between like,
Oh, vape products.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
you know, like,
And
or
regular
like loose
tobacco.
tobacco and,
Yeah.
and like,
Right.
You're probably exactly
Rollies
right.
or
Does it say it on his little cheat sheet?
maybe.
No, just a long list of other. But they're different license
It
numbers.
doesn't talk about tobacco at all on my cheat sheet.
Sorry.
Jeez. All right, well, do you want to send the one we haven't approved back? I have another one for them. So we have another tobacco license.
It's the same Jiffy Mart, number 685. It's just a different license number.
And it just says license type tobacco.
Oh. And the documents attached are all other.
Lottery license agreement is the only one that isn't other here. Do you have that one?
Same here, yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I think they're the same.
Date of submission, April 1st, on the very last page. Payment and acknowledgement.
Yeah, April 1st.
Weird. Anyway, well, let's approve 2 tobacco licenses for Jiffy Mart.
They paid two $50 fees, so.
I was just gonna say, they have to pay
This
fees,
one's
so,
110.
so it might be different.
Yeah, this one's only
They
50.
should really, like, tell us how. It's ridiculous.
Just sign it.
Sorry, I'm my due diligence here.
I know.
Okay, Jiffy Mart, tobacco, and a second class license. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, please. All right. Sugar Bush, Allen's Lodge, third class. First class, Allen's Lodge. First class, Gatehouse. Third class, Gatehouse. First class, Valley House. Third class, Valley House. Second class, the general store.
Move to approve Sugar Bush's.
Giant packet of liquor
Giant.
licenses. Do we really have to sign every single one of these? We don't, actually. Legally, we don't. Frank,
don't.
Legally, we don't. Oh, sorry. Oh, the stickies are battling. Oh, I think I screwed that signature up.
More creative than
I am, right? Look at this. It's like stream of consciousness spray. Oh, great. I like this quickies, Brent. Thank you for the quickies. All right, Washington County Sheriff's Department, Select Board members, Town Patrol contract. Enclosed is our law enforcement contract for the period July 1st through June 30th. We've raised our rates this year to $68 starting July 1st, 2026. Our mileage rate is the federal rate of .725. Please review, sign, and return the original to us. And keep the other one for your records. Please make sure to fill in the contract amount in number 10 and include the 2 stamped and certified copies of number 16 on page 2. I imagine you've already done that.
I have not done anything. I can sign it. So we don't typically fill that in, we just have you guys sign it, because we basically give them a budget, and they have to work within that budget.
Yeah, but that budget should be here.
I'll put that in there,
Okay.
yeah.
I haven't seen this contract.
You don't have to sign it, it's the same contract as last year, and the year before, just the dollar amounts change. I asked Brett, and he said nothing's changed.
You wanna sign it,
It's up
guys?
to you guys. You can wait until sign it on the 24th.
Law enforcement contract. Wanna look at it? I'll ask Rebecca the question I have here. We've got 53, and then this one is 53.
There's 2 of them on there.
Yeah, and then there's 10 on the back. Is that... These are the same
Are
amount.
they the same invoices though?
I don't know.
What's the invoice number on that one?
16252. 16252.
Okay, so then take that one out. She had sent me one. Are those 2 combined?
Yes.
Okay, let's take that one up. She had sent me one that,
I can even terrific.
okay. I was missing one and she sent it to me and I was moving and I didn't want to lose it, all that fun stuff.
Rebecca, are you the town contact?
I am.
I think as long as you write in the, I'm fine signing it. It looks fine.
Oh, is this VHB? Are they coming to present?
I haven't heard back from her.
Will you?
I've reached out to her twice. I'm a little frustrated. I have called.
Yeah.
That's what I emailed the first time and then I called after a voicemail. So I'll reach out again tomorrow.
Are there 2 signatures here?
All right.
Okay. Gonna get you guys different color pens, squiggly bits. Okay, I think that's it, team.
That's just a duplicate and I
We
can
don't
make
need to
copies of
sign
that.
that, right?
You guys didn't go, so you didn't get a VLCT pen.
But you went in person? It
Did.
was good?
They put on really good conferences and
Yeah,
stuff.
they do.
The food was actually really good.
Where was it?
I was gonna text you and be like, you guys miss out.
You guys know that one?
It was at the Snowflake.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It was nice.
all right, shall we end this meeting?
Do it.
I move to adjourn.
Hand us the signature second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
That's the liquor and this is the